You have heard the whispers of the code. 3, 6, 9. You've seen the viral videos. You've been told that these are the divine numbers, the keys to the universe, whispered by the great Nikola Tesla himself. You have diligently written your affirmations, 3, 6, 9 times a day, hoping to unlock a cosmic secret. But you are a musician who has been given the sheet music without ever being taught how to play the instrument. You are focusing on the numbers, but you are missing the music. This story will reveal the profound, energetic truth that Tesla was pointing to. It is not about the act of writing. It is about a sequence of creation, a vibrational journey through 3 distinct states of being. This story will give you the real method. It will teach you how to finally play the music of the 369, and in doing so, tune your own reality to the frequency of creation. Leo was a man obsessed with a code. At 29, he was a brilliant but struggling electronic music producer in Belgrade, the very city where the ghost of Nikola Tesla seemed to linger in the air. His studio was a temple to sound, a place where he could spend days manipulating frequencies, searching for the perfect, resonant chord. But his own life felt profoundly out of tune. His music was technically brilliant, but it lacked a certain soul, a certain power. It was not connecting. He was a master of the explicate world of sound waves, but the implicate world of success and recognition remained a frustrating mystery. His most sacred and all-consuming desire was to create a single, groundbreaking track. A piece of music that would not just be heard, but felt. A track that would use the principles of sonic resonance and harmonic frequencies to create a genuinely transformative, healing experience for the listener. He dreamed of creating a sound that could change the world, and in doing so, finally launch his own career from obscurity into the light. His antagonist was his own mindset of the magic bullet. He had stumbled upon the 369 method online, and he had latched onto it with the desperate fervor of a man looking for a shortcut. He believed the numbers themselves held a magical power. His entire spiritual practice was the rote, mechanical act of writing his desire. My music heals and inspires millions. 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, and 9 times at night. This habit, which looked and felt like dedicated spiritual work, was actually a profound trap. It was keeping his focus on the lack of his desire. The repetitive act of writing was a constant, thrice-daily reminder that his music was not yet healing millions. He was not generating a frequency of success. He was amplifying the frequency of his own obsessive, needy wanting. Is he doomed to be a prisoner of his own magical thinking, forever writing a wish on a piece of paper, a ship in a bottle with no ocean to sail in? Or is there a deeper, more profound, and more powerful meaning to Tesla's divine numbers? A secret that has nothing to do with writing and everything to do with vibration. If you have ever been intrigued by the 369 method but have been frustrated by the lack of results, subscribe. This story contains the key that was left out of the instructions. Part 1. The mechanical repetition of the 369 method had led Leo to a state of spiritual and creative exhaustion. The previous loop closed, his magic bullet had been revealed as a blank. The new loop opened with a moment of profound creative failure. He was in his studio, trying to finish his masterpiece track, but the sounds he was creating were cold, sterile, and lifeless. They were a perfect, sonic reflection of his own joyless, repetitive manifestation practice. In a fit of rage and frustration, he slammed his laptop shut, the silence of the studio a deafening roar of his own impotence. He fled the studio, the city, and himself. He took a train, heading west, with no destination. He needed to escape the humming, electrical grid of Belgrade, a city that felt like a constant reminder of Tesla's genius and his own failure. He ended up in the remote, rugged, and profoundly silent landscape of the Tara National Park in western Serbia. It was a place of deep forests, limestone cliffs, and the emerald-green Dina River, a world of ancient, organic energy. He was hiking on a remote trail, his mind a storm of self-criticism, when he came across a strange and beautiful sight. In a small, hidden clearing, an old man, perhaps in his late 80s, with a long, white beard and the serene, powerful eyes of a mystic, was standing before a series of large, shimmering copper coils. The coils were arranged in a precise, geometric pattern, and they were humming, emitting a low, resonant, and deeply peaceful frequency. The air around them seemed to shimmer, and the very ground beneath his feet felt alive. This was Dr. Alan Petrovich, a name Leo would later learn was legendary in the fringe science communities, a former professor of electrical engineering from the University of Belgrade who had been a devoted, and some said obsessive, student of Tesla's more esoteric work. Leo, a man of frequencies, was immediately captivated. He approached the clearing, his creative frustration momentarily forgotten, replaced by a deep, professional curiosity. "What is this?" he asked. Dr. Petrovich, who had been in a state of deep meditation, opened his eyes. They were not the eyes of a dreamer, but the sharp, analytical eyes of a scientist. "This," he said, his voice a low, resonant hum that seemed to match the frequency of the coils, "is a prayer written in the language of the universe, the language of frequency." Leo, feeling a strange sense of recognition, found himself telling this strange, brilliant man everything. He spoke of his music, of his dream, of his frustration, and of his failed, obsessive practice with the 369 numbers. Dr. Petrovich listened, a slow, knowing smile spreading across his face. "Ah," he said. "The divine numbers. You are like a man who has found the recipe for a magnificent cake, but is trying to bake it by simply reading the ingredients out loud. You have the numbers, but you have missed the meaning. You are focusing on the symbols." But Tesla was not a symbolist. He was a vibrationalist. He then walked Leo over to the humming coils. The 3, 6, and 9 are not a quantity. They are a quality. They are a sequence of creation. A 3-step journey in consciousness. He then gave Leo a task. "Forget the writing," he said. "That is for children. Your only work for the next week is to come here, to this clearing, every day. And you will simply sit, and you will learn to feel the difference between the 3 frequencies of this garden. That is the first lesson in the real method." He has found a true student of Tesla, a man who understands the deep, energetic music behind the numbers. He has been given a new, and deeply mysterious, task, to feel the difference between 3 distinct frequencies. Can a musician, a man whose entire life is about vibration, learn to perceive a new kind of sound, a sound that has the power to create worlds? Part 2. Leo returned to the clearing the next day, his analytical mind buzzing with 1,000 questions. This closed the previous loop. He had found his mentor and his mission. The new loop of conflict began immediately. Dr. Petrovich led him to the first part of his garden, a small, self-contained array of 3 copper coils. "This is the 3, he said. "The frequency of vision. Your only work is to sit here and absorb this feeling. Do not try to analyze it. Just feel it." The frequency was subtle, a high, clear, and almost silent hum that seemed to resonate directly with his pineal gland, the third eye. But Leo's mind, his antagonist, the magic bullet seeker, was looking for a quick fix, a powerful experience. "I don't feel anything," it whined. "This is just a low hum. It's not doing anything. This is a waste of time. I should be in my studio, working, writing my affirmations." The conflict was a battle between his craving for a powerful, mystical zap, and the profound, subtle reality of the frequency. The external conflict was the ticking clock of his own life. His rent was due. His last musical release had been a commercial flop. He was getting emails from his parents, gently but persistently asking when he was going to get a real job. His reality was a constant, loud broadcast of lack and failure, a frequency that was in direct opposition to the subtle, quiet work he was trying to do in the mountains. He brought his frustration to Dr. Petrovich. "I'm trying," he said. "But the 3 is too quiet. I can barely feel it. And the world is too loud. My problems are too loud." Dr. Petrovich was polishing one of the copper coils with a soft cloth. "You are trying to hear a whisper in a hurricane," he said. "The problem is not the volume of the whisper. It is the volume of the wind. You must first learn to quiet the storm of your own mind." He then led Leo to the second array, a larger, more complex arrangement of 6 coils. This is the 6, he said. The frequency of embodiment. This frequency is designed to quiet the analytical mind and drop your consciousness into the body, into the present moment. This is the bridge. He then gave him a new, more active task. You will spend time with the 3 to receive the vision. Then you will come here to the 6, and you will walk barefoot on the earth. You will feel the ground. You will feel your breath. You will bring the high, clear vision of the 3 down into the solid, grounding reality of your own physical body. You will not think about your music. You will become the music. He has been given the first 2 stages of the real method, the high-frequency vision and the grounding, physical embodiment. This is a direct challenge to his old habit of living entirely in his head, in the world of ideas and wishes. Can he truly learn to bring the ethereal down into the earth of his own body? Part 3. Leo's days in the mountains became a strange and profound ritual. He would spend the morning in the garden, moving between the 3 and the 6. The loop of his initial frustration was closed, and a new, more embodied loop of practice began. The sub-trauma of his creative work began to shift. He had brought a small, portable synthesizer and a laptop with him. In the afternoons, after his sessions in the frequency garden, he would sit on the porch of his small, rented cabin, and he would not try to compose. He would simply try to recreate the feeling of the frequencies. For the 3, he would create high, clear, crystalline sounds, melodies that felt like pure, geometric light. For the 6, he would create deep, resonant and rhythmic basslines, beats that felt like a human heartbeat, like the feeling of bare feet on the earth. He was not just making music, he was translating a state of being into sound. His relationship with his old life in Belgrade became a source of complex data. He would get texts from his friends, other musicians who were all caught in the same cycle of hustle and frustration, complaining about a bad gig or a failed release. He began to see their struggle, his own old struggle, with a new, detached clarity. He saw how they were all stuck in the 3, in the world of ideas and dreams, without ever grounding their energy in the 6 of the physical present moment. But the process was not easy. The quiet of the mountains was a perfect amplifier for the deep, unhealed beliefs that were the true source of his creative block. As he practiced the grounding of the 6, a profound sadness began to surface, a grief for the years he had spent disconnected from his own body, living as a disembodied mind. He realized his obsessive focus on the magic bullet was a form of avoidance, a way to bypass the messy, difficult, and beautiful reality of his own human experience. He spoke of this sadness to Dr. Petrovich. "The music is coming," he said. "But it is bringing a great deal of pain with it." "Of course," the old scientist said, his eyes full of a deep, compassionate understanding. "You are finally tilling the soil. You are finding the old, buried stones. Do not fear them. They are the foundation upon which the great temple will be built." He then looked at Leo, his gaze intense. "You are ready for the final frequency. You are ready for the 9. He is creating a new kind of music. He is unearthing old pain. He is beginning to integrate the mind and the body. He is ready for the final, most mysterious, and most powerful stage of the process." What is the secret of the 9? Part 4. Dr. Petrovich led Leo to the final part of the garden. It was the largest and most impressive array, a ring of 9 tall, beautifully crafted copper coils that formed a perfect circle. In the very center was a simple, flat stone. "The 3 is the vision," Dr. Petrovich explained, his voice taking on a new level of reverence. "It is the seed. The 6 is the embodiment. It is the grounding of that seed in the earth of your body. But the 9 is the harvest. It is the frequency of divine indifference, of complete and total surrender. It is the moment you have planted the seed, you have watered the ground, and now you stand back and you allow the sun, the universe, the great mystery, to do its work. It is the frequency of letting go." The loop of his integrative practice was about to close, and the final, most powerful loop of creation would begin. "Your task," Dr. Petrovich said, is to bring the feeling of your vision, which you have grounded in your body, and you will stand on that stone in the center of this circle. And you will offer it up. You will release it. You will let go of all attachment to how it will grow, when it will grow, or even if it will grow. You will trust the harvest. You will become the empty sky that allows the sun to shine. As Leo stepped into the circle, he could feel the frequency. It was different from the others. It was not a hum. It was a profound, and almost terrifying, silence. A silence that was not empty, but was pregnant with all potential. He stood on the stone, and he brought to mind the vision of his music, the high, clear frequency of the 3. He felt it in his body, the deep, resonant, earthy feeling of the 6. And then, standing in the silence of the 9, he performed the final act. He let it go. He surrendered his dream to the great, silent, and intelligent field. In that moment of absolute, unconditional surrender, a quote attributed to Nikola Tesla, which had always seemed like a mystical riddle, became a clear, scientific fact in his own consciousness. If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have a key to the universe. It was not a code. It was a process. The 3, the mind. The clear, focused, high-frequency vision. The blueprint. The 6, the body. The grounding of that vision into the physical, present-moment reality. The embodiment. The 9, the spirit. The complete surrender of the embodied vision to the quantum field, with a radical trust in the outcome. The release. He had spent years frantically repeating the 3, the wish, without ever grounding it in the 6, the feeling of it as a present reality, or surrendering it with the 9, the trust. He had been trying to shout a seed into existence. Now, he finally understood the elegant, powerful, and logical physics of creation. He has the complete method. He has experienced the full, 3-step sequence of vibrational creation. He is no longer a seeker of a magic bullet. He is a practitioner of a profound science. But he is a musician. How will this new, complete understanding translate into the final, finished piece of music he has been struggling to create? This profound, sequential understanding of the 369 has unlocked a new level of clarity for you? Subscribe for more stories that reveal the deep physics of conscious creation. Part 5. Leo walked down from the mountain that afternoon, a man reborn. The previous loop closed. He had the full, experiential knowledge of the 369 sequence. Now, the consequences of this new state of being began to manifest. He returned to his cabin, sat down at his synthesizer, and the music that had been trapped inside him for a year came pouring out. It was not a struggle. It was a transcription. He was simply, and with a joyful, effortless grace, recording the music he had heard and felt in the garden. The track began with a high, clear, crystalline melody, the 3. This was then joined by a deep, resonant, and earth-shaking bassline, a beat that was the very rhythm of the grounded 6. And then, weaving through it all, was a new element, silence. Profound, powerful, and meaningful pauses, the 9, that gave the music its soul, its breath, its power. He finished the track in a single, 8-hour flow state. He titled it 369. It was his masterpiece. It was a perfect, sonic representation of the creative process itself. He had not just created a piece of music, he had created a transmission, an energetic activation key for the listener. The consequences of this new creative flow were immediate. The frantic, needy energy was gone, replaced by a deep, calm, and unshakable trust. He sent the track to one person. Not to a record label, but to a woman named Anya, a host of a popular, independent podcast on conscious music and sound healing, a woman he had long admired for her integrity and her deep understanding of the power of frequency. He did not send a long, desperate email. He sent a simple note, "I believe this is what you have been listening for." And then, he let it go. He performed the 9. He returned to his daily practice in the garden, completely detached from the outcome. He has created his masterpiece. He has released it into the world with a new, profound sense of trust. But the world is a noisy place. Will his single, quiet transmission be heard? Will the one person he sent it to understand the deep, coded message within the music? Part 6. For a week, there was silence. The old Leo would have been a nervous wreck, checking his email 100 times a day, his anxiety mounting. The new Leo lived in a state of profound peace. This was his final and most important test, to hold the frequency of the 9, the frequency of surrender, in the face of a silent and unresponsive world. He consolidated his growth by deepening his trust in the process. He continued his daily practice in Dr. Petrovich's garden. He began to help the old scientist with his work, learning to calibrate the copper coils, learning the deep, mathematical physics behind the frequencies. He was not just a user of the system, he was becoming a student of its architecture. He was so deeply absorbed in this new, joyful learning that he almost forgot about the track he had sent. The dark night came in the form of a final panicked email from his parents, telling him about a stable job opening for a sound technician at a local radio station in Belgrade. It was a well-meaning but soul-crushing suggestion, a final, powerful echo from his old reality, a temptation to give up the vast, uncertain forest for a small, safe pot. He read the email, and he felt a wave of compassion, not anxiety. He saw their fear, but he no longer identified with it. He wrote them a loving reply, thanking them, but telling them that he was, for the first time in his life, already in his dream job. He was a student of the universe. That very evening, as he was walking back to his cabin, his phone buzzed. It was an email from Anya, the podcast host. He has held his faith in the silence. He has passed the final test of his own trust. The echo is about to return. What will it say? Part 7. The email from Anya was not a simple reply. It was a torrent of joyful, astonished, and deeply resonant words. Leo, it began. I do not know who you are, or where you have come from. I have been talking about the concept of vibrational music for 5 years, waiting for someone to actually create it. I have listened to your track, 369, on a loop for the last 48 hours. It is not a piece of music. It is a key. It is an activation. It has done something to my own creative process that I cannot even put into words. I am canceling my scheduled guest for this week's show. The entire 2-hour episode will be dedicated to you and to this one, single, revolutionary track. The loop of his patient surrender was closed. The final loop, the one that would broadcast his creation to the world, opened with a force he could never have anticipated. Anya wanted to interview him, not just about the music but about the philosophy behind it. He prepared for the interview not by scripting answers, but by performing the 369 sequence. He held the clear vision, 3, of the interview as a powerful, authentic, and transformative transmission. He grounded that feeling in his body, 6, feeling the calm, steady confidence of a man who is simply sharing his truth. And he released the outcome, 9, trusting that the right words would flow through him. The interview was not a Q&A. It was a deep, resonant, and beautiful conversation between two souls who spoke the same language. Leo did not just talk about his music. He talked about Tesla, about Dr. Petrovich, about the sequence of creation. He taught the real 369 method to Anya and her massive global audience. He was not just a musician anymore. He was a teacher. The stage is set. The transmission is about to go live. He is about to share a profound, and potentially controversial, secret with a world that is obsessed with a simplified, misunderstood version of it. How will the world respond to the real music of the divine numbers? Part 8, the podcast episode, The Tesla Code, A Musician's Journey into the Real 369 Method, went live on a Tuesday. The response was not just positive, it was explosive. It was a collective, aha, moment for hundreds of thousands of listeners around the world who had been, like Leo, frustrated by the rote, mechanical version of the method. The show was flooded with emails and comments. People wrote about listening to the track, 369, while following the sequence Leo had described, and the profound, transformative experiences they were having. The track was not just being listened to. it was being used as a tool for a new kind of manifestation. The climax of this was a single, extraordinary email that Anya forwarded to Leo. It was from a world-famous visionary film director who was known for his epic, philosophical, and visually stunning science fiction films. "I was in a state of profound creative block on my new film," the director wrote. "I have been struggling for a year. I listened to your podcast with this young man, Leo. I listened to his track. And I followed his instructions. In the silence of the nine, the entire visual and philosophical concept for my film's final act, the very piece I was missing, downloaded into my mind, whole and complete. I do not just want to license his track for the film. I want to hire him to create the entire sonic universe for the movie. I am not looking for a composer. I am looking for a vibrational architect." The promise of the introduction was fulfilled. The secret was not the numbers. It was the music, the sequence, the three-step energetic journey. By finally understanding and embodying this process, Leo had not just manifested his own dream, he had become the key to unlocking the dream of another, and in doing so, had manifested a reality so vast and so beautiful that his old, magic bullet self could never have even conceived of it. The dream is manifest. The world is listening. He has become the vibrational architect he was always meant to be. But what is the true, lasting impact of a life that is lived in perfect, creative harmony with the fundamental, three-step rhythm of the universe? Part 9. Leo's life was transformed into a symphony of his own creation. He became the film director's sonic right hand, creating scores that were not just music, but were integral to the narrative and the very consciousness of the films. His work redefined the relationship between sound and cinema. He was a pioneer, an artist who worked with the very frequencies of creation itself. He used the wealth he had manifested to create the Tesla Institute for Vibrational Science, a research foundation and retreat center in the Terra Mountains, in partnership with the now elderly Dr. Petrovich. It became a place where scientists, artists, and mystics could come together to explore the deep, resonant, and harmonic truths of the universe. He had not just built a career, he had created a legacy. He had learned the ultimate secret of the 369. It is not a hack or a shortcut. It is a deep and profound technology for aligning the human creator with the universal process of creation. It is the rhythm of life itself, the clear, focused thought. 3. The grounding of that thought into the felt, present reality of the body. 6. And the final, faithful surrender of that embodied form to the infinite, creative intelligence of the universe. 9. It is the dance of the mind, the body, and the spirit. And once you learn the steps, you can never be out of tune with your own becoming again. His journey has transformed him from a seeker of a secret code to a master of a sacred process. But what is the next composition for a soul who has learned to play the music of the universe itself? We see Leo a year later. He is not in a studio or a lab. He is sitting in the grass in the frequency garden he has helped to expand. A young, frustrated musician, a reflection of his former self, is sitting with him. "I'm writing the affirmations," the young man is saying, 3, 6, 9 times. But nothing is happening. Leo smiles, a deep, calm, and compassionate smile. He does not give a lecture. He simply places a hand on the young man's heart. "Forget the words," he says gently. "First, let's just find the music. It starts right here." He learned that the keys to the universe are not numbers to be written, but frequencies to be embodied. What is the three-step vibrational song your own soul is waiting for you to play? You have been given the sheet music. Now it is time to play the instrument. For the next 48 hours, abandon the rote, written 369 method. Instead, you will practice the real vibrational sequence. 3. For 3 minutes in the morning, do not write your desire. Simply sit in quiet, and hold the clearest, most beautiful vision of it in your mind. See it. 6. For 6 minutes in the afternoon, do not write. Go for a walk. Feel your feet on the ground. And as you walk, bring that vision down into your body. Feel what it would feel like to be living that reality right now. 9. For 9 minutes before you sleep, do not write. Lie in the dark, and after recalling the feeling, consciously and deliberately release it. Surrender the outcome to a higher intelligence. This is the real method. This is the sequence of creation. What do you notice? Report your experience of the real 369 in the comments below. For more stories that reveal the deep, energetic truths behind popular spiritual techniques, make sure you subscribe and join this community of vibrational architects.